The sports entertainment world could only brace for impact as Savage and Hogan battled, and when it was over, a common WrestleMania sight was seen. Hulk Hogan celebrating in the ring with the WWE Championship back in his possession. And as the 1980s gave way to the 90s, around the world there was a real sense of looking for the next big thing. The newest, the coolest, the fastest, the strongest, anything to show where the future was. This was also the case in WWE. Amongst the members of the WWE Universe, many saw the Ultimate Warrior as the heir apparent to the throne that Hulk Hogan had occupied for 6 years. The untamed superstar appeared capable of matching Hogan's strength and had dominated all other opponents. Even that loss we relived at WrestleMania 5 against Rick Rude, yeah, he avenged that just a few months later at SummerSlam, regaining the Intercontinental Championship in the process. But this talk all seemed like fantasy, only existing as a dream match. Hogan and Warrior weren't enemies, and for either of them to turn against the other would run against the strict codes of honor to which both men claimed to adhere. All of that changed in the 1990 Royal Rumble match. It was brief, but for a moment, the only two men in the ring were, you guessed it, Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior. The crowd went nuts, and these two stared at each other for a minute before circling up. Two running tackles led nowhere, and then a double clothesline floored both men, ending things before they could really get started between the two. That small taste, though, was all the world of sports entertainment needed to know that they wanted more. Even more interesting, it would be Hulk Hogan who would challenge the Ultimate Warrior to a contest at WrestleMania 6.
Ultimate Warrior, me and my Hulkamaniacs put the championship on the line.
Hogan openly stated that he needed to know which power was truly the strongest in WWE, his or that of the Warrior. Adding to the stakes was the stipulation that both the WWE and Intercontinental Championships would be up for grabs, leaving the winner with supreme claim to lead WWE into the next decade. All right, now it's your turn to try and shock all the little Hulkamaniacs out there and try to beat Hogan at WrestleMania 6. Can you harness the power of the Ultimate Warrior? There's only one way to find out. I'm pretty sure the last thing anyone expected from Hogan versus Warrior was a crisscross, but this is WWE, and anything can happen. Ultimate Warrior rising to his feet immediately after being body slammed was such an iconic moment. But it was absolutely crazy to see them do a second crisscross. And when Warrior returned the body slam to Hogan, it hurt the Hulkster. He didn't pop up the way Warrior had. Just the difference in reactions between the body slams, you could sense that change was in the air. Seeing Hogan struggle like this wasn't something the WWE Universe was used to. After the clothesline sent him crashing to the floor, Hogan appeared to hurt his knee, the last thing he needed. Ultimate Warrior was here to prove that his hype was real. Warrior was going to run right through Hogan at this pace. When Warrior and Hogan clotheslined each other, you could hear a pin drop. Now you're wondering, who's going to get up first? Is Hogan as hurt as he seems to be? Does Warrior have the gas in the tank to pull through in this moment? Remember, Hogan's had many championship matches, and he knows what it takes. He can use the time to get his breath back. And then Warrior sits up, and half of the arena goes crazy while the other half lets out a defeated groan. Ultimate Warrior looking every bit the dominant superstar, getting to his feet while Hogan stays down. The Hulkster was running out of magic. Could he find one more iconic comeback? been out-muscled by opponents before, but they were usually 7 feet tall or 400+ pounds. Seeing Ultimate Warrior control Hogan in this bear hug was another one of those moments where you just knew what was coming. Hogan just could not break free from Warrior no matter what he tried. It was a smart play by the Warrior too, able to rest himself while dealing out crushing punishment to the Hulkster. Warrior to this point had only been known for running through opponents in quick, brutal outbursts. He was showing more of a tactical side here, and it was paying off. Ultimate Warrior was showing that the moment wasn't too big for him. He wasn't trying to rush anything. With two of WWE's most popular superstars competing, the WWE Universe was divided. And right when Hogan finally gets his chance and manages to break Warrior's grip, the referee gets flattened, and now there's no one to count falls. As Warrior lifted Hogan up, things were looking perilous for the Hulkster. The Hulkamaniacs were hoping for one last gasp from Hogan. And they got it. Hogan kicking out at 2. A familiar sight as Hogan begins to shrug off the attack of the Warrior, slowly getting back to his feet. You know the deal. 3 big rights. The big boot. And then Hogan misses the leg drop. Hogan crashes hard to the mat. Now it was just up to the Ultimate Warrior to fulfill his destiny. Could he defeat Hulk Hogan?
Ladies and gentlemen, here is your WWE Intercontinental and the WWE Champion, the Ultimate Warrior!
Incredible victory for the Ultimate Warrior there, becoming the first superstar to hold the WWE and Intercontinental Championships at the same time. A truly historic feat on the grandest stage of them all. A victory that signaled a new wave of change that was about to hit all of WWE. Rowdy Roddy Piper managed to change his luck in WWE when he captured his first championship in the company at the 1992 Royal Rumble. The wrestling world rejoiced for Hot Rod as the fiery superstar showed true emotion in the moment, revealing how much it meant to him. Once the most reviled man on the roster, he was now appreciated for his authenticity. Everyone was happy for him, except for one guy. Bret the Hitman Hart had changed his status in WWE in the spring and summer of 1991. When his legendary Hart Foundation amicably split the team, Bret would use the opportunity to springboard up the singles rankings, winning the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam that year. Wanting to be an active champion, Bret faced off against all comers, finding victory each time out. until a few nights prior to the 1992 Royal Rumble when Hart lost the Intercontinental Championship. And before he could get a rematch, Piper had swooped in and won the thing. The last thing the Hitman wanted to do was ruin Roddy Piper's moment. The two were close. Piper had trained in the family dungeon and spoke glowingly of not only Bret, but his entire family.
I gotta tell you how much I loves your family. I gotta tell you how much I loves your mom. I knowed you, I know this guy since he's been knee-high to a grasshopper.
Respectfully, the two agreed to compete at WrestleMania 8, which would emanate from Indianapolis, Indiana. But Piper understood that many felt Bret lost that title at less than 100%, and that he'd have to defeat Hart in the ring to get those people on his side. And while both men claimed they'd keep it respectful, most everyone understood what happens when you push Roddy Piper to the edge. And trying to take something from Roddy Piper is one way to do it, especially when it's the first title he ever held in WWE. And so it was Bret Hart's technical mastery against Roddy Piper's street fighting in an unheralded classic was produced by two absolute masters of their craft. And while they both tried to keep it friendly, you just knew it wasn't gonna last. Nearly 20 furious minutes of action unfolded between the two, each with near victories along the way. Blood, sweat, and tears was never more appropriate. The two gave their all on the goal of earning the WWE Intercontinental Championship. So, get in there and do your best to beat Roddy Piper to the punch. But beating Hot Rod is no easy task, even if you are the best there is, the best there was, or the best there ever will be. Heading into the match, the smart money was on Roddy Piper, resorting to his brawling tactics. But he looked to try and wrestle with Bret Hart at the start, which led to predictable results, with Bret outmaneuvering Piper. A fuming Piper would spit at the Hitman. Would Piper's desire to win and be champion override his desire to play fair? Could Hart use Piper's legendary temper as a constant exploit? Piper was already reverting to the man people knew him to be, and Hart was looking to exploit that fiery temper by embarrassing Piper as often as possible. Piper continued to show glimpses of the old Hot Rod, but still tried to play by the rules. He was desperate to remain champion, but his respect for Hart and his family kept him from unleashing that old demon inside. And Hart used that to his advantage, tricking Piper by feigning a shoulder injury after landing awkwardly on a dropkick. Piper, understandably, was not amused by this one bit. Piper slapped a taste out of Hart for gold bricking, as Bobby Heenan famously called it, and this once friendly competition was turning into the heated brawl many figured it would become. The tension was growing between the two, but they were still trying to keep it sportsmanlike. The Hitman sent both tumbling to the floor with a crossbody. Piper would respond by holding the ropes for Hart to re-enter. Hart was hesitant, but ultimately accepted. And that was the information Piper needed, that Hart trusted him. Piper would immediately violate that trust by telling Bret his boot was untied and unloading a huge sucker punch. The gloves were off, and the two were in a fight for survival. Hart wanted to use little tricks, while Piper just suckered him with the old, "your shoe's untied." A huge shot from Piper, and it looks like the Hitman may be busted open.
With tempers boiling, Piper manages this well-timed shove of heart to knock the official down. And if you think that was accidental, then you don't know Roddy Piper. As soon as the official goes down, you see the old hot rod start to appear. He's brawling with Hart at ringside. He's throwing him into the ring steps. And then he grabs the ring bell. Hart's down on the mat, can barely move, and Piper's telling him to get up. As you see the sneer on Piper's face, like, "This is your fault, man." As Piper measures Hart up for the bell shot, you can see the inner struggle. What would the Hart family think about this? What would your fans think about this? How could you look Bret Hart in the eye if you win it this way? And he keeps lifting the bell as if he's going to use it, and you're wondering which Roddy Piper is going to win out, the angel or the devil. And then he does the right thing and tosses the bell aside. In an instant, he's got Hart in a sleeper hold. Piper has Hart beat. But the Hitman had one more counter up his sleeve, trapping Piper in the pinning combination while still in the sleeper hold. More amazing was how the instant the match was over, the respect between the two immediately returned.
A somewhat forgotten classic sees the excellence of execution using every last trick in his repertoire to pull out the victory over Roddy Piper. And WrestleMania 8 sees a rare pinfall loss for Hot Rod, but an even rarer display of professionalism from him makes the moment all the more memorable. Up next on this WrestleMania train down memory lane, we go to WrestleMania 10 in New York City, and the first ladder match to ever take place at WrestleMania. Shawn Michaels captured his first Intercontinental Championship with a big win over the British Bulldog on Saturday night's main event in the fall of 1992. But in the fall of 1993, Michaels would be stripped of the championship due to inactivity. As the Heartbreak Kid watched from the sidelines, Razor Ramon would capture the vacant championship. At the 1993 Survivor Series, Michaels would announce that he was back and that he only had one mission: to humiliate Razor Ramon, who he considered to be a fake champion. Having never been defeated in the ring, HBK still believed he was the rightful Intercontinental Champion.
There is only one undisputed Intercontinental Champion, and it is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
Never one to back down from a fight, Ramon was more than ready to face Michaels anytime, any place. But Shawn wanted to play games with the bad guy, interfering in his matches and even performing Ramon's vaunted Razor's Edge finisher to taunt him. Shawn was also very open about relying on his 7-foot monster of a bodyguard, Diesel, to help him get through any tough situations. WWE officials, forced with figuring out how to decide who the true Intercontinental Champion was, came to a decision. Both championship titles would be suspended above the ring in a ladder match. The winner would be the first superstar able to incapacitate their opponent long enough to climb the ladder, grab both championships, and finally settle the issue once and for all. This matchup would see both men use everything they could to stop the other, including the ladder repeatedly. It was used as a battering ram, even as a perch from which to dive for a huge splash. Both Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels laid it all on the line in this epic clash, leaving everyone breathless with each new flurry of offense. So, you're gonna have to do your best to deal with not only a Mr. WrestleMania who wants his Intercontinental Championship, but also with the menacing Diesel at ringside. Stay focused, and maybe you'll be oozing enough machismo to climb that ladder of success.
Razor Ramon was looking to prove that despite never defeating Shawn Michaels for the Intercontinental Championship, he was still the real champion. Shawn Michaels had a clear game plan for this match. With no rules, he'd be able to receive assists from his bodyguard Diesel. No disqualifications in a ladder match means it's not cheating. The second Michaels tossed Ramon to the floor, that plan was put into action with Diesel attacking the bad guy. Unfortunately for Shawn, the official decided that wasn't going to work. Despite Diesel's arguments, the WWE official decided to kick Big Daddy Cool out of the ringside area. Shawn had talked a lot about being the real champion, and now without his 7-foot backup, he was going to have to back those words up himself. This distraction bought Ramon enough time to recover and send HBK flying with a huge right hand. Ramon floors Michaels, and now with Diesel banned from ringside, it looks like the Heartbreak Kid needs a new plan for the bad guy. Heading into this match, a lot of people wondered how the ladder would come into play, and it didn't take long for Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels to answer that question. Razor placed the ladder on the apron to re-enter the ring, and that gave Shawn the opening he needed to launch a baseball slide dropkick that sent the ladder crashing into Ramon's ribs. Had Razor even considered that type of offense from Shawn in his preparations? Had Shawn practiced that very move? He appeared ready to strike the second the ladder was laid down. Clearly, any moment with a ladder nearby was going to be dangerous, and one would need to always be aware of their opponent's location. With his bigger, stronger opponent struggling to breathe, Michaels would be able to build his own momentum. Michaels started to realize that as long as he used the ladders to his advantage, the lack of Diesel's presence wouldn't be as detrimental as he first thought. Knowing Ramon now had a weak point, Michaels crashes that ladder right into the ribs of Ramon, and he has completely turned the tide of this match. You could see it on the faces of Razor's fans, who sat in disbelief as Shawn took control. Both men had looked to hit the other with a ladder in a variety of ways, but Shawn Michaels was about to shock the crowd with a different approach to ladder-based offense. With Ramon down, Michaels would climb the ladder near the corner and come crashing down onto Ramon's already weakened ribs. Why waste all that energy swinging the ladder around when you can just climb it and jump off from great heights, right? Michaels, thinking it was over, began to climb. Now, normally Michaels may have gone for the cover, and he may have even won the match after such an incredible move. But with ladder matches, it's not that easy. So even with Ramon in great pain, he was able to find enough fight in him to get to his knees and topple the ladder over. Shawn Michaels could see the match starting to slip away, but instead of panicking, he'd look for an opening. Reversing a Razor Ramon attack, he'd plant the bad guy with a devastating pile driver. HBK wanted to show off one other trick, bringing the ladder with him over to the corner. Shawn was in clear control here. I'd never seen anything like this before, and it's still jaw-dropping today. He didn't just climb the ladder. He'd proceed to fall with the ladder beneath him onto the downed Ramon. It was now or never for Razor Ramon as his grasp on the Intercontinental Championship appeared to be slipping.
WrestleMania's greatest collisions comes to its scintillating conclusion with Razor Ramon just managing to outlast Shawn Michaels, claiming possession of the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 10. The latter match would open the door for future classics, like the TLC and Money in the Bank matches as well, forever sealing its place in WrestleMania lore. Our next match is another legendary moment that will live forever, as we head to WrestleMania 13. Rosemont, Illinois would play host to the most important night on the sports entertainment calendar. And on this night, a match that is the literal definition of an all-time classic unfolded. Bret Hart had been the face of WWE's new generation for years, proudly defending the WWE Championship against all comers and defending WWE's honor against its most heinous villains. After losing the WWE Championship to Shawn Michaels in WrestleMania 12's Iron Man match, the Hitman took some time off to consider his future options. When he returned, roughly 6 months later, there were drastic changes to the landscape of WWE's universe. Top among those was the rise of Stone Cold Steve Austin. The man who started the year off as Ted DiBiase's ringmaster would find freedom in his true identity, dropping his manager and finding superstardom in the wake of his 1996 King of the Ring tournament victory.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
WWE was trying to find its attitude, but the seeds of change were being planted in the fans who had rallied around Austin. His no-nonsense attitude had made him the ultimate anti-hero. This acceptance of someone who flaunted his breaking of the rules didn't sit right with the Hitman. When Bret made his return, he immediately challenged Austin, who was more than ready to answer the call. The two battled at 1996's Survivor Series, where Hart won in a masterful performance of a feverish back-and-forth battle. The loss only made Austin angrier, creating a single focus for him: to ruin Bret Hart's career. He'd eliminate Hart from the 1997 Royal Rumble match after officials missed Hart first eliminate Austin. The night after Hart captured the WWE Championship at Final Four, Austin would interfere in Hart's first defense on Raw, ending the reign before it could even get started. WWE officials would pit the rivals against each other in a no disqualification submission match. The loser would be forced to admit they were defeated by the better combatant. To make sure that order would be maintained, a special referee was assigned: the world's most dangerous man and former MMA champion, Ken Shamrock. And while Hart had the edge in submission wrestling, Austin was no slouch in that department. And he also had one other thing going for him: his promise to the world that he would never in a million years give up. Once the match started, these two unleashed months of hatred on one another. We were lucky enough to talk to the Rattlesnake himself, Stone Cold Steve Austin, to get his thoughts on this classic encounter.
A lot of people think that the WrestleMania 13 match between myself and Bret the Hitman Hart is one of the best of all time. Certainly one of the best in all of WrestleMania. To me, it's a very special match because everything happened so magically, and specifically WrestleMania 13 cemented the legacy of who and what Stone Cold Steve Austin was. From start to finish, we started it off, we brawled out, we came back into the ring, we brought various factors from around the ring into the ring to use against each other. Some of the stuff backfired on me. It was full of chills, thrills, and spills. I gotta call a spade a spade. I mean, it is my favorite all-time match, and I've been to some classics.
Always an honor to get to pick the brain of one of WWE's top-level legends. Thank you again to Stone Cold for talking with us about WrestleMania 13. Now it's on you to try and find a way to take out WWE's toughest SOB. Remember, there are no disqualifications, so use whatever you can, and maybe you'll find a way to get him to surrender. I just wouldn't recommend messing with the referee. Shamrock's ankle lock is nasty.
Hart immediately showed why this match was perfect for him. Instead of just punching Austin's face, he'd attack Austin's legs instead. Bret wanted to make sure that his search for revenge also ended with him victorious. Hurting Austin in a losing effort was worthless to him. Hart knew every single attack would be used to set up his vaunted sharpshooter, so he started the work early. The Hitman would also find ways to mix his technical style into a more vicious approach, like when he locked Austin in a figure-4 leg lock around the ring post. Normally, a hold that would be subjected to a referee's 5 count, Hart could inflict damage until he chose to let go. And just how much damage had the move done? Had Austin's knee brace offered any type of defense against the maneuver? Austin had the reputation as a brawler, but Hart was showing that he wasn't completely out of his element in this no disqualification match. Bret looked to keep things relatively simple, and so far the plan was paying off. Work the leg, break it down, and the submission opportunities would come. As the two continued to fight, the action would again return to ringside. A strong Irish whip from Hart sent Austin flying into the guardrail by the timekeeper. Hart stayed on the attack, looking to maintain control under any circumstances. Unfortunately for Austin, a huge cut had been opened up on his head. And seeing the red on Austin brought out a whole new level of ferocity for the Hitman. Bret unleashed months of built-up aggression on Austin. Hart abandoned his limb-based attack, focusing only on Austin's bloodied face. Austin looked to be in very, very bad shape now, all from an innocent Irish whip. It was now Austin's time to prove that he was everything that he said he was. Did Austin have the fight in him to keep going? Would he look for a way out now that Hart had him badly hurt? The Hitman was now in firm control, with Austin in big trouble with a nasty wound on his head. Things were not looking good for the Rattlesnake. Hart continued to maintain control, but Austin would not stop fighting back. Desperate, Austin found an opening, tossing Hart to the apron. Austin would then reveal the lengths he was willing to go to, grabbing an extension cord at ringside. I still can't believe that Ken Shamrock checked to see if Hart gave up instead of trying to break him free. Just when it looked like Austin was finding daylight, the resourceful Hitman clobbered him with the ring bell. Austin had already looked like he was nearly finished. The fans, who had steadily grown louder in favor of Austin, tried to rally the Rattlesnake back to his feet one more time. Cut bad and now down again. Was there anything left in Stone Cold Steve Austin? When Hart locked in the sharpshooter, you could see two clear reactions. One group was loudly cheering, sure that the Hitman had done what he needed to do, and that victory was coming. The other group sat with a mixture of disappointment and hope on their faces. Austin was in trouble, of course, but there's no way Stone Cold was going to give up, right? Brett continued to pull back, remembering all the things Austin had said. Remembering his unfair ouster at the Royal Rumble. Remembering Austin costing him the WWE Championship. And Stone Cold kept fighting. Austin refused to give up, refused to lose to someone for whom he held so much disdain. Now it was the Bret fans who looked worried, and the Austin fans who began cheering, hoping to will their guy to one last incredible act. Bret pulled back and Austin pushed forward, taking every last bit inside of him to try and fight his way out of the sharpshooter. But on this evening, it wasn't to be. Bret nearly toppled over, but managed to rebalance and reapply the hold. Austin, in one of WWE's most memorable visuals, would struggle one last time to find an escape before collapsing unconscious. Special referee Ken Shamrock would call the match here, as Austin was no longer able to defend himself. Yes, Stone Cold lost, but he lived up to his word and he never gave up.
As a result of Stone Cold Steve Austin losing consciousness, the winner of this bout, Bret Hitman Hart!
Hart was happy with the win, but he still took the opportunity to attack Austin after the match, which only served to alienate whatever fans still cheered for Bret. Even in victory, Hart refused to be the better man, which was disappointing to the millions who had supported him. But for Hart, all that mattered was the victory. He'd proven that he was better than Stone Cold Steve Austin, which is all he cared about. And Stone Cold had, while trapped in the sharpshooter, won over an entire fan base with his fight until the very end. It's one of the greatest matches in WWE history, featuring two of the very best to ever compete in a WWE ring. It made Stone Cold Steve Austin a generational superstar, and it showed that the Hitman wasn't only a technical wrestler. Counter holds, ringside brawling, and lots of weapons, along with one of the most famous endings to any WWE match ever. Such a classic. I never get tired of this match.